So I want to make sure that you guys get a little bit like some Empire Wealth hints here, so like that for Friday. Okay. I know many of you in here, I am looking at Cole, Logan. They've already read all the chapters, have their index card already, like that, So, but I know it's a problem like how the time is going. So on the first set, I got answer five out of the first 10 questions. But let me just tell you what I like, out of this chapter 8 here. A lot of specific questions here in a way, on this. I like the, steam, of course, like that, but not the obvious steam people in a way, if you know what I mean, like that. The steamboats. And one thing I can tell you, there's one question on here that's worth three questions, all right? And I'm going to tell you basically what it is, all right? It's a trap. What do you want? I'm trying to trick you. I know it's a trap. No, I would never do that. That that would be really unfair. That would be really pretty like, bad. Like, wait a minute, you guys would be getting mad. You're like, wait a minute, that question even isn't even on here. So no, but there's 10 questions, but like the 10th one is worth three questions. All right. Some of the others are kind of specific in a way, so that's the thing is that you have to look out for. But it's really about the last 5 or 6 pages about how can you sum up how somewhat the railroads affected, American life and its economy. How did it build up the United States? All right. But I can't just give you credit if you just do some, bullet points on this one. I would like probably if you write down your index card some specifics and maybe hopefully you can kind of fill in the gaps yourself and come up with two or three good sentences on that one, and it'd be worth three questions for that first part. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, yeah, I would love that if you copied that down on your next card, but I don't want to just a bunch of unrelated statistics in there that you just jotted down because I just kind of gave you a big clue. I want you to be able to put it together because this is something that you probably will see in May. I'm telling you, how can the railroads transform America, and I hope you can kind of center in on that. All right. Now there's 15 in total, but that's the first sec. That's chapter 8, right? So starting in chapter 8, right? I gotta go. And chapter 9, it says answer 3 to 6. I love, Samuel Morse. Then so you'll understand what I'm saying of it. Newspapers, water supply, right? Samuel Morse. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Some of you got. I know you guys have read the chapter. You already said and you understand what I'm saying. So look, I understand you guys got a lot on your plate and everything. So I'm actually not mad at you if you haven't started yet. It's just one of those things that you have to do. You got a lot of things going on. Hmm. All right, I got I think 4 of the 8 of the next following here. So again, it's always about half or something about that with the questions. But as you know, some of the questions ask for specific things. Uh, I love the whales. I love the whales. Whales, right? Whales, like I think we have found some Logan. I think I have found some students who have no clue what the chapter is about. I have not even opened up the book yet. It's like that. So, because you're gonna see how much it was a resource, for Americans and for people around the world. You know, Oy. Uh, lumber industry. There's gold there. Yeah. So, yeah, really, it says the gold. You could actually have a couple of sentences. Hey, Idris, you can have a couple of sentences for each one of those about what the chapter is about, almost in a way. Oh, the ice, like because I find that fascinating. You know, it is very fascinating. I think that chapters are very. You can get interested in it. All right. Like, no, I hate that book. Must not like that book. Yeah. All right. So the last thing is answer three of the following, which is the Civil War transition. You might want to take a look at the very first page where there's a couple of quotes. And you know, there's one guy I really like. I'm not going to tell you who it is until you get there. All right? I know you do, JB. So there's one guy I really like. So you might have a question that says, hey, can you kind of, maybe interpret this or something like that, That's a really big clue, you know? No, 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 no. I put the quote on there. Yeah, I put the quote. No, no, I would never. No, I want to remember. I don't want you to pick all your index card like doing a quote. I'll give you the quote. What I want you to do is kind of analyze it a little bit and then kind of like, interpret. Because this guy who wrote a book in 1776, who's already been mentioned in this book before, who's the father of capitalism, like that, it's something that you should know, like it really into your college life and careers in a way, you know, as we live here in America. But I forgot I'm in the school of STEM communists, like and everything like that. I know, I know exactly. The Communist Club. Mr. Price is president. Uh, so, um, really the first two or three pages for those people who've been there, it talks about like banking and fiat money, how much we need to understand that. Okay. Uh, so I think that gives you some good clues. I mean, you should not fail if you kind of follow all those clues there. Hopefully, on this. Well, yeah, JP. Six. It should be throughout six. One, two. Yeah. No, this is transition. All right, transition is like the last part. It's not really a chapter. It's about the Civil War, and it should be about three out of six. And then, again, always I'm trying to give you choices too. Be very aware all the time about like you know if it's 15 questions and this is a test grade, if I do my math correctly, so each question is about like seven some points each. If you miss a direct question, like if I ask you about an inventor or who said this and you get it wrong, you're down to a 93 already. So just be very aware of that. All right. Good enough. Anything else that's kind of concerning you for Friday? I know you got the math test, but I think I gave you some good hints, and I'll have to send out the video again too. You can look at, and I'm looking in front right here, so I'm not kind of doing this from memory as well, so like that. So in here, okay. So yes, look. That's what I'm going to go into now, okay? Because on here, so really, I would like to say this. Probably the way the time has been going to schedule. Did you guys get my message about that? The videos for the Men Who Built America. You probably have until Tuesday. Now I know again Jacob and like Ludiel and all you guys have already seen all the videos and you're all prepared and you're ready to go. But I will say this. I will say this. On quiz number 7 on Tuesday, expect questions from like those videos. You get that on Tuesday, that next Tuesday, because you did have that little extra time on there about the men who built America. Uh, which ones to watch? I know it says parts 1 through 7 and they're labeled differently, but it is parts 1 through 7 on there. Just that first link, watch all of those. All right. That's all you need to do. All right. If you want to, just because Stephanie loves history so much, like, oh, this is so riveting. She probably press the second link and like that and everything and watch the other like videos too. So, whoa, Nikolai Tesla. Oh, I'm always fascinated by him. Like that, like that. Yeah. So, Will Edison like shocked that elephant. Oh, well, they show that, but that wasn't directly him. So I will say that it was people like, yeah, he did. He did orchestrate that. You're right. That's a better way of putting it. Okay, now to get back to Logan's point. So tomorrow, what I wanted to do, since now that I see that what your schedule was, I'll. I did say that the quiz probably is going to come like midpoint. Probably is going to come at the end again because I do want to pick up a little bit of "Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee" video because I want to show you a few parts about. I hope you're listening. A simulation, all right, and that definitely would be like part of your quiz there about like Carlisle School, things like that. The Dawes Severity Act, all right, of 1887. Can somebody want to kind of review in their head what you remember about the Dawes Severity Act? It has a common number in there that we know of. Yes. Right. Him and his family, like they're on there, on your 60 acres in there, on there. So, what's always the downfall of all these 160 acres land and everything from homestead to the Dawes Severity Act in here? Go ahead. Yeah, they call this the Great Desert. All right. And Oklahoma is kind of part of that too. Not exactly everything on there if you look at the map again from the Great Plains. So yes, once you make it viable. And what would happen is with a lot of Native Americans, just because, I don't know if you know people like Mr. Price, who needs cash quickly sometimes, they will probably sell their land to somebody who has like a little bit more money. And the next thing you know, they lose their land. All right. And just to go along with that, Dawson, what happens in 1889? I mean? It doesn't mean that you have to know the date, and they're known as the 1889ers, but by another name anyway. And this is where the college gets their nickname from that area. Well, we have the Oklahoma what? Sooners, the land rush on there, right there. So you had the Oklahoma land rush. Yeah, Sooners and Boomers, because they, got there, planted their flags as I claimed this land. And you guys are saying, but Mr. Price, what I know about the Indian Removal Act, of 1830 was that, like, they were going to be there, like, as long as the river flows and the grass is green. But as you see, this land is being kind of like, claimed and rushed upon as as their land is being bought up during this Dawes Severity Act. Right. So, and a lot of times they were promised citizenship, and once they start assimilating and doing this, they really don't get opportunities for citizenship until 1924. The Native Americans. Right. So the land rush of 1989 to Sooners and Boomers, just more of that expansion going around there. So, and as we know, it seems like 1890 kind of a couple of things here. It's almost symbolic of the closing of the West, and we have a bad incident that happens out here, like in North Dakota there, like at this time. So we get the kind of closing of the frontier. And who's the guy you should know for tomorrow that talked about how this is going to affect America? Yeah, Frederick Jackson Turner. All right. This safety valve has kind of turned off. This is his frontier thesis. What made us in those three characteristics? What made us like again is no longer seems to be available right now. All right. Individualism, nationalism, and democracy. All right. Now, to look ahead until about a couple of weeks, knowing that now that we've reached the Pacific, we've kind of started settling the Great Desert. What do you think we're going to have our eyes set upon now if our frontier is closed? Right, around the world. You're right, around in the Western Hemisphere, maybe even further. Lights getting out here. So you have this. So you will be doing this. All right, so just looking ahead. But go back to that before about Frederick Jackson Turner, the Native Americans, wounded in 1890, the Wounded Knee Massacre. I'll kind of go in a little bit reverse. It's not so much that you have to know all these dates and everything like that. So, because kind of the most significant events here, I'm not going to talk about, you know, uh, Geronimo's like, surrender, like again, 1886, thing like that. But probably one of the big things is 1876, the Battle of Little Bighorn. That that's significant beyond there. 1864 Sand Creek Massacre, and you really don't have to know too much about like oh they found gold, like 1874 or the Fetterman Massacre. That's not as much as knowing these kind of Indian kind of like conflicts. Okay, can you guys probably name some people that you will see in your quiz tomorrow from the Native American Great Lakes that you will see? Sitting Bull, Crazy Horse, Recla, Chief Joseph for sure. There you go. I think you named the all-star celebrity Native Americans that that you probably would see on for tomorrow. Right? Now, I want to keep a number in mind for you, talking about the environment, geography, taking the impact. And I didn't mention this on yesterday. 15 million. What two things you think of if I mention that number, 15 million? Louisiana Purchase, and then what? The Mexican Session. Very good. Or you can't say the Mexican Purchase. It's fine. All right. Now, here's another 15 million. All right. And I always love this when I can use common numbers like 160, like that. So, but 15 million buffalo in 1865. 1885, divine? 1,000. Okay, 15 million in 1865. You know, it's always good to know numbers like in May when you're doing some short answer on your test or you're writing your essay. All right, all right. Your side conversations are not helping my review. All right. You can ask me, like again, saying like that instead of just saying like, da, da, da. And it kind of builds. I know you're trying to help each other, but I'm saying it's kind of like again, messing with the flow here. Go ahead. I that would be around 1885. It's 1,000 buffalo, and I'll repeat since there seem to be a lot of like questions. All right, you have 1865. You have about probably 15 million. All right, in 1885, 1,000. In 1937, 34. All right. Really, I know people always say, well, Mr. Price, there's about 300,000 now. Not really. If you look genetically, really like American buffalo. You know what I mean? Like bison, as we should be like calling it. Like again, but you really don't see the original. Like genetically, like a lot of those 300,000 are not. Like again the 19th century bison in a way. But they look just like the same. All right. So that kind of tells you a lot right there about, affecting the food supply and what other supply did the buffalo provide. You learn from the first grade to the plants. Resources, like again, fuel, like for like, again, just like heating, things like that, and then clothing, weapons and tools, TPs or any type of other type of housing that they would do is not just be just traditional TVs, clothing. That was just really it was a what people always convert to as like a Walmart on four legs. I was thinking for a lot of like Native Americans. Yeah, really it was. I mean, you think about it. And what was really kind of disheartening, demoralizing for the Native Americans, they find a lot of these buffalo killed, and things were just like their tongues taken out, or they just or like they parts of their body just like taken out, but not used for the whole resource. Now let's not romanticize the Native Americans. I mean, these are the people that before like horses, and they still did when they had horses would run the buffalo off cliffs and things of that nature, so like that. So I'm not trying to say they were always thinking about the environment and the nature, and almost in a way they were thinking about survival as well. But it did seem like killing indiscriminately, especially as the resources are draining down. And you see how it kind of depopulates real fast, and you don't know how you're going to survive. And I always say something about this that we take food for granted, and we should because it's just so much around us. You imagine going days or can't feed your children, you have to choose which kid to feed or something like that, or which first family member or something like that, because that's food stores like say you just dwindle down, and that's really hurts the Native Americans, right? So, and Sherman kind of learned the tactic that, like, and this was smart of them. Well, the horses need grass to eat to be, energized. So why don't we just attack them during the colder months? You get it? And that they're going to be more vulnerable to our attacks. And that's what some of the things that kind of brought more of their demise here, right? And so yeah, so seeing that kind of like decimation on there, that you see this. Now, of course, you will see the defender of the Native Americans. That like she wrote a book, Century of Dishonor. Helen Hunt Jackson, like again, 1881, talking about Sand Creek was a massacre. It wasn't some kind of like skirmish or some kind of like thing they were trying to subdue the Indians. So you def because there's always those people that said that really it was not as again some kind of mutual kind of conflict or something like that, or some kind of like this real foe when you're like chasing Chief Joseph up near Canada and putting Sitting Bull in a reservation, or you're negotiating, like the Fort Laramie Treaty of 1868 over and over again, and you keep on reducing the size of the reservations in here. Let me go back again to the ordinary people going out west here. So, uh, who is populating the west of the Great Plains? What kind of people are populating? How would you describe them? Huh? Immigrants. Very good. It- with an eye. All right, Carlos, let's again. So they're coming in, like again, in a way. So E is like, you kind of like leaving like that. So immigrants. There's two different ways. There's two different immigrants that describe people like this again. So some are leaving the country, some are coming in. But what you see out in Minnesota, you see a lot of people, the Vikings, like again, you see a lot of like, Norwegians, like again, Scandinavians going there. You see Irish everywhere. You see Italians everywhere, Jewish people coming in. And it's almost, if they can afford it, they will come out there to populate. And what's so pretty good about the Homestead Act, there's nothing in there that's kind of like says that you must be of white Anglo-Saxon stock, you must be a citizen. You get it? On here. Because actually they give you a time of 5 years, right? Well, at that time, of course, that's the time you get naturalized to be a citizen as well. So it had a twofold kind of like purpose there. So really, that's why North Dakota, and everybody's surprised, they say, "Oh yeah, right, North Dakota's diverse, yeah, right." But out for that time in that area, well, while you're there and you're moving there, so like it's not like people just like went to North Dakota. And said, oh, it's time to go to Los Angeles because that's oh man, I love it. It's so sunny, Hollywood, it's nice like that. No, you kind of get settled and you see if you can make it, and a lot of times you're not making it rich, so you have to stay. So that's why the point like that, so that people get settled. I want to describe it. Surviving off the lands, surviving off that like sod, making those mud houses, so using the inventions of the day, like saying people mentioned in both classes, the windmills, defending themselves with Colt 45, barbed wire, just to name a few. And you're right, and they're still using the steel plow and the reaper there on those tools and stuff. Now I want to foreshadow something. You can't afford all these things, right? What's the farmers are going to do? Matter of fact, no, let me ask this. We need to know this. Is farming increasing? For sure. You're getting from like you're still getting from like almost 2 million to 6 million here. We haven't reached the kind of the 20th century yet. So I want you to picture in your minds right now how the Midwest or the West is growing just as much as the eastern cities are growing. It's almost like a simultaneous thing here in the 19th century. This is modern America, guys. This is where it's born. I know you guys could go back in time like, oh, they don't have the indoor plumbing like we do. I know. It's getting there. That's amazing that now you can have people moving into cities and building with steel like apartment buildings like that, and you do get inventions like these, like, elevators, and like I said, with a braking system. So that's why you can build the levels up. So farmings are building up too. But where are they going to get their funding from for these tools and these kind of mechanisms, like, in there for their farms? Where they going to get their funding from? They're going to get their funding from the government. Really, the federal government is not your source of services. I'm glad you said that. Where is your source of services? And I bet you guys don't know. For let me just say, pest control, roads, like again, what is it? States or your local politicians. Like that, I'm telling you that right now. Your aldermen, your mayors. But what is it? Your neighborhood is infested with rats. You want your, like, again, pest control to come in there. They literally will come in with clubs and stuff like that, really, to come in there. And you tell the mayor, said, look, I need you guys to come down my neighborhood because it's just my kid got bit the other day. Serious? I know you guys like it. Really? Once again, everything like that. So, and what does the mayor is going to say? Like, I don't know if I can make it this week. You know what I mean? Your neighborhood is pretty, populated and. Like that. What is he kind of like, waiting around for? Huh? A bribe. This is, again, what I always say foreshadows like what we're going to see here. If you want these services, you know, that's way things were in here. So, farmers are going to go where for their cash or their kind of like where? Where do they need to go buy to the merchant in the area, the general store? Where are they going to go to? It's all in your book and everything. Where are they going to go to? Once again, you need some money. The bank, right? What is our fundamental problem? As we know, what is the farmer's dilemma? That we keep the pattern of the farmer's dilemma here. Not every season. It's crop lien system. It's the same idea in a way, and the banks are coming down. By the way, why if people rally behind Andrew Jackson against the banks? Because there's Eastern or farmers near the Mississippi or around the South who can relate to Jackson. Yeah, they took my farm, they took my neighbor's farm. They're a bunch of evil elitists. You get it? They had to make money too, but they're the ones that come in. Soon if I can't get Coles, like, he doesn't pay me back. Next thing you know, I'm putting this farm for auction. You know what I mean? Because that's how they put a lien on that, all right, on your farm. But you're going to see how this is going to bubble up, because you think about, well, where do the Easterners get their food from? Well, it's from the farmers. You get it? So, and you say to yourself, Mr. Price, what do you mean the Easterners? What kind of like transportation system do they have? I think that would bring all that, like, food from, like, the plains and the Midwest to the East. The refrigerated cars and the trains. You get it? So that's why they were supplying. They said, what's going on? You're going to see a conflict rise. So I'm just kind of foreshadowing that right now as we're kind of like, coming to the end. But it should be a pretty simple little quiz tomorrow, even though we're going to watch some more things tomorrow, because I think it's very important that we kind of get down a little bit about. You probably will not see a lot on May about like Native Americans, but I just think it's important for us to kind of know how that West was kind of so-called tamed, or in reality just taken over. It's really imperialism, but you never see that in your textbooks in a way, you know. But that's what it exactly what it was. Questions, because there's about 30 more seconds here, and you guys have been really great. Once again, and I'll make sure I'll send this out so you can kind of see some more, kind of what did he say about the empire wealth. Like again, some of the questions here about tomorrow. Okay, I know some of you guys have a long afternoon here. Thank you guys.